Hi, everyone. So I'm reading through pieces from this book. This book, after a project, The Resound, is kind of, it's, you know, once upon a time, I think I was structuring my life very differently than I am now. And this is the afterwards part. I guess the context of it has to do with themes of non-belonging and also kind of being a little obsessed, especially with old things, and once upon a time wanting to be a historian, scholar, and explain US colonialism in the Philippines to everybody. And then I fell off that, and here I am. So I got 3 pieces, and thank you so much for your attention, for hanging in there, for this gathering, for this space, for MG and Joel and Monica. The first piece is called Daddy Burger Snow Copernicus. A riverfront breezes the down twin towers. Edison plays with tub toys in Jersey, black bars over his eyes, some reminder, glory, the inglorious riot of the 20th century. A drafty set piece sequenced in drapery and gels. Don't forget the main in a revel, a lust. Our silence, a sour exhale, tracking dust and gas. Dictatorships replace my fascia every 7 years. More warp speed than revenge of the half-lady. My ghost walking queer and brown for pay. I'll take a husband for the Occident, Alex. What is trading tenses for hemispheres? What is rice paddy repatriation? What fruits my fatty skin? Next, I will behold a whole tropical story. That is how, Father, the seeds are light-colored, not deep brown when rolled in the fruit. We serve and ripen the stimulating oils in high excitement, as though they, instead of their master, were going to the fiesta. Then Shepherd ate the berries, too, and felt stimulated himself. Why, we are twice as likely to excite ourselves to a quick ecstasy. Are we the stars of the party, not collateral damage? In a dream, my tender torso pinned snugly with fast shards, flown Chinese stars show in a picture. February emerges with Hello Kitty's rubber title and panels of spam. Teething a chip of the father, chatter on surf in Hawaii. Exit 6 chambers, truckle to Caesura. A cloudy, hard palate through the left cerebral and occipital. I know, replies Daddy, of all the states, the nicest smell is California's. And the next piece is called You're Foregone. It began with 7 hens, 15 or 7 manifested monsters, dark stone, half knowledge, no alternatives, soupy. I provoked a middle-aged man who made me feel like a girl. I did whatever I'd done against my better judgment. He came at me, leather skin, white chest fuzz, pink striped shirt in the stairwell to the clamoring street below. People like me get bruised in the movies, playing like us, found in the Northeast, center of this corner of the city, possibly a migrant, throwaway. I heard the cock crow in midday, claiming 7 neighborhood hens. I thought before I did it, or I did it before I thought. My index fingers in his eyes, thumbnails in nose hairs, hanging on for dear life. I did it, or I didn't. I still don't know. Starch pressed, pause before one's death, live on in montage. Canned soup burst from his eyes. My illegal sit, a tea kettle, and a school, but no more eyes to build on desert. He said there is no other way around. What you see, we were born here before we arrived. You mustn't say the name of this place. It makes me lose patience. And then the last piece of this part is called I Was Born for a Stricter Regime. I was born for a stricter regime than this loose place of acoustic guitar, mass, and grape juice. Trained long before birth to be a soldier of something, a wife of someone's, a link to some underground, a constellation, ready for the call, exiled from the cell, embedded, missing you, dreaming the word, passkey, magic, safe entry, haunting corners, scanning my papers for fraud, flushing myself out. Terror is the mainstream's peace. I will be truthful. I am lost. The mall is starting to make me forget. The prophecy fulfilling itself, the manifesto, a hand of unraveled threads, a bomb blast a while ago, violence in the soft core, trace fragments. Paratroopers, I'm running out of writing implements. In one line, indigene, in the next, struggling with addiction, and each wife and none. They want to know how I run before they give me the position. So the next is a kind of a prosy piece about being a historian. It's called Certainty is a Kind of Desire. I'm certain I sense the space around the objects in the room because I'm often unnoticed. Unnoticed objects and the unnoticed space around them sense one another in a moment of shared indifference to the room's manners that a room enforces to understand the room. A table setting where space gets caught up in things. I'm not certain that space around objects attracts my attention because attention is its own desire, and there's space around it that does not attract attention. I don't want to be more certain about negative space than the object in negative space. I don't want mastery over every object and everyone's attention. I want to jump from an endowed hall to a dinner table to a sea cliff. How does one enter a room if there is nothing sovereign in the space around you that attracts attention? I tried to write about them to be proper company for myself. Precarious, temporary, transient, who never meant to stay in a place long enough to build anything, who left negligible and exceptional traces, for whom everything is laid out in foundations on top of newly fresh massacres, for whom everything is done, everything grand and promising. Preservation, radical futures, technology, money, study, surface, pleasure. Served by these and yet unquenched, but still quenched, absorbed, represented, found, counted in their time and our time, who before leaving were prompted by reporters, travel writers, investigating officers, naturalists, organizers, examiners, and prosecutors to leave ephemera, which others collect to make a living, to order the world. Are authors of confounding and banal statements thrown into files, bound into obscure books, cataloged and deposited into cavernous university libraries with special elevators for half floors. Memorialized for preceding a generation, participating in mass protest by carrying signs declaring their chosen names, and by writing their people's history to order a genealogy of their chosen names. To stop being lonely in a lonely, obscure language while staying mute in the people's language. Showing up in groups every night or every week to pay to dance with women and to gamble, they drew the attention of crime reporters, gawkers, people with money to lend, in need of cash, desiring the dirty city, making their careers from befriending the friendless, concerned citizens from nicer neighborhoods, from the homeland, cops, the outer peel, the hanging skin, the maws, the slacken. Everybody wants to document, all at once. Archive, marginalia, paratactics, partisan traps. Who came to write, they abandoned past and future for the perpetual present to bet against the house on 10-cent dances. Before the permanence of the personality type, there is a mood. Create new anxieties, dwell in the mood of mechanical gestures, space out, forget the current condition, be alone in public, adopt new devotional obsessions, self-medicate, interrupt life building, repeat the outcomes, use up family savings, language skills, social manners, national pride, letters of recommendation, to lose the political debts. The janitorial back of the house, broken English, bottom rung work of the highly groomed domesticated houseboy. The grounds for legitimate and temporary migration to the city. to lose the space. Visitors behold objects with wonder, even love. Things become artifacts or relics by being possessions. Abstract concepts like freedom are both objects and objectives. At times, people are possessed by abstract concepts attached to their promises, and other times possessed by them. Venereal disease and failed romance, working as a wardroom boy for the U.S. Navy and loving the country encircled by the Navy's magic. The state is assumed as a shape to be filled. Which captures which? The administration records itself impress a series of administration, if occulted. I'm supposed to unravel this. There's no origin of something already debunked in the present moment about that past in that boring place. I suppress this sense for some kind of verbiage. It's now all over in name and deed. I can't find the original moment of inventing a politics as a web of relations between nation and nation, race and race, subject and subject. The web relating reason and unreason, the map that meets the untrodden space, the word engaged in the sense. Just give me a pen and long hours and an IV line stuck into my arm, I'll write it down. We've known for a while that some were commissioned to represent and order us to form policy, so some of us could be self-possessed and some of us marked for extinguishing. They were commissioned to become immersed among the ungoverned and even get a little lost in the surround. The documentation left behind as they traveled among us is a thinking, feeling map that people have decided is important enough to preserve in big libraries. The investigating self is resigned to be the occasion for sporting interrogation. Who are you? Why are you here? What do you want? Invisible hunchback little person with a disfigured face, the melting pot expects, becoming crippled indeed. What can a body do to form relations? What doesn't permit? Calls for a new intimate drilling, even risk. This isn't ethics. This is walking together in this writing and reading. Sensate connections already possible, a little willing to be possessed by things. I've disappeared from making pronouncements about policy into society where I'm now among those who receive. You haven't noticed since I'm sort of replaceable and simultaneously unnoticeable and conspicuous among those with their secret way of speaking freely. Let's divest from any cause. Let's reconcile to making useless texts that refuse a certain kind of orderly argument. The way the philosopher indicates a closing of eyes, he imagines inhaling an essence, delicious apples, the distant sadness, captive. The way I earn that line, sometimes a shrug will do it, brushing a close by, other times a shudder, you're marked. I shiver your company, I morsel you. This last part is called Essay in 6 Parts. 1. You so material, so networked, we, the chronic indebted, finish no programs, possess no degrees. The half-baked idea, author no books, win no grants, deserve no feedback. The aging on the temporary gig, friend no contacts, find no mentors, schedule no payments. The lazily reverent dispense no advice, teach no classes, read at no readings. The yelling have no collaborators, the exhausted object have no body of work. 2, the good life. There ought to be a career of slow inhale and exhale. There ought to be smoke breaks from self-actualization. Some days we should read nothing. Some days just one sentence. A paid leave from poems working hard. A recess from fundraising. A holiday from our keeping before we are done in. 3, a factory, someone with a nice salary. One long decade in clutched vestments overwrites the vapors, lush with ethnomania. These all process words: relational, janitorial, karaoke, glitter, a post, an anti, a muffin top, re and d, thigh touches, dis, the end of izing, earnest proposals, a half nod, camouflage, precariat, fester and rot. I'm afraid every word, jargon I can childish play, like flip you through relational modes, pages of a book, Oh, that pessimism, their grit, emergent subfield, karaoke studies, the ism of a nest, late to camouflage. She's the serious grievance now, become subject and simile, averse to someone or another. 4, ask everything. Does live tweeting the death of an industry earn you a job in death? Does pounding out choice conference aphorisms count as community work? Does updating a relentlessly upbeat Facebook feed win you the Emerging Persons Award? Does digital labor create a taste for your paywalled peer review? Does public vulnerability count as a brand? 5, ask for everything. A phase of eccentric middle-aged dress where everywhere and no event is an occasion unfit for a 5-piece uniform. 6, all the penais are straight, all the queers are Pinoy, but some of us hold out our femme gaze straight into the cosmos. Behold a supernova of fat negation. No Mark Aguhar as the real Babylon. Have mothers young enough to be our sons, never to reach 26. Blessed be our ugly grief, our helpless beauty, this very moment of utterance incarnate in an absent brown body, joining us alive painfully so, strand us alone together. I will never not want to be violent with you. Dare you to say, this isn't love, Queen. Pray for her resurrection every Easter. I'm just so bored, so pretty, and not white. Thinks you need some deflating. Lol your Pinay self. Lol your subconscious decolonial indigeneity. Lol recovery as an escape hatch from real negotiations. Lol carrying that white people think our bodies are cheap. Lol thinking only white people think our bodies